Hi, I'm Tolulope Kolade, Tcode, an African voiceover artist from Nigeria, and this is my podcast, Everything Voiceovers, the African Perspective Podcast, where I take you on a journey to discovering industry insights through expert interviews, practical tips, and personal anecdotes.
You can simply call this your go-to resource for all things voiceover related. Buckle up as we discover the art, craft, and business of voiceovers through a uniquely African lens on this episode. Enjoy!
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, the African Perspective. It's Tcode, your host, and this is another time for us to talk about voiceover from a Nigerian voiceover artist's perspective. I am happy to talk to him today. As you can see, is looking good, is representing the African culture with his dress. Sorry guys, I'm on running, but this is the man. This is the champion. This is the Indaboski. Not many people know what that means, but I don't have time to explain it.
I'm trying so hard not to say anything, but continue. Go ahead.
This dude right here is Maji. Is a voiceover artist and is a Nigerian. He's been doing voiceovers for quite a number of years now, and he's also a fellow alumni of the voiceover workshop.
Yeah.
What else do I say? He's the founder of Daza Voiceover, and he's also a voiceover coach. So he's a lot of things in one. He's an audio producer, engineer. He's a music person. He's a guitarist, and we share all of these things in common.
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to say just now. So before I start blowing my trumpet, you're indirectly blowing yours. So
all right, guys, you heard it. His name is David Attah, and what's your nickname again? You don't get a nickname now.
Okay, nickname. My nickname now Daza.
Great.
Yeah.
Daza, that's his nickname. That's his nickname. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast, bro.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Why, I think, you were on the podcast last year. That's
Yeah.
Last
The
season
one we
of
had
the
with
podcast.
John.
John.
Guys, Onoche,
Oiza. Those are like some of my voiceover friends as well.
G's.
They're dear, you know, right? So it's a pleasure to have David on the podcast. And today,
It's great to be
like I said in the first episode, this season is all about capturing people's perspectives, not just from a general industries angle, but I want to know the stories of how these people got into voiceovers and the things they've learned along the way, so that people who are just coming in would have a lot to learn. And David is someone that I respect a lot, and I would like to start from how you got into voiceover. Because if I say make a start from how we met, I don't even remember. I don't see that year you intimidate us with your voice because there was something we were doing back then.
Yeah,
at the
Voice of the Week.
Voice of the Week.
Voice of the Week,
Yeah, and let's talk about Voice of the Week a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
what was it about for you?
I mean, Voice of the Week. In fact, that was when I just started voiceovers. I think I've been doing voiceovers for about a year at that time. Then I got to discover the voiceover workshop, and I saw this Voice of the Week, and I saw that these guys were actually winning money.
Yeah.
These guys were winning money every week and just doing small voiceover tasks and all that. So I decided to, hop on the project, and I was hoping. Honestly, it wasn't really about the voiceover for me because I really needed the money. I was really going for the win and all that, So I just hopped in. It was really nice to do that.
Yeah.
That stuff I actually did my own entry.
Yeah.
Apart from posting it there, it actually made me to be visible. A lot of people saw that stuff, and that was how people actually got to know that, oh, this is what I do. So everything was actually still for my good, because even though I didn't win that Voice of the Week, I got some level of recognition from that project, and it was a very big deal for me because I've not done something like that at that time.
And this was 2020, right?
This was 2020. Yeah, during that COVID lockdown.
At that time, had you attended the voiceover workshop as a student?
No, I attended the voiceover workshop training in 2021.
Oh, so
2021.
That 2020. Had you started professionally? Like, were you bearing the tag voiceover artist to get money?
Yes. I mean, even if I was using phone then, I was telling myself, I was calling myself a voiceover artist, you know. Not until when I learned, properly how to, do voiceover before I could actually say, okay, now at least I know some things. I can call myself a voiceover artist now, but I've always been calling myself a voiceover artist from 2018 because that was actually when I started doing voiceovers. But then I wasn't collecting money. I didn't even know that my voice was actually worth something. But I knew that people actually use their voice for adverts and all that kind of stuff. So I was doing it. I was doing voiceover announcement for my church. That was actually how I started voiceover announcement for church.
And you were doing it on your phone that time?
Yes, I was doing it on my phone.
Wow. And it sounded good?
Yeah, it sounded good. I mean, I watched YouTube videos, so I knew how to do the pillow fort. So I knew how to construct the pillow fort and all that. So that's what I used to do then.
I know that like the basic, like how would I put it now? Sound treating 101?
Yeah.
Because when you understand if you know how to put pillows to ensure you already, you started understanding sound, sound treatment.
Yes.
But anyways, so you said something that caught my attention, and I want to put it in the hot seat for that one.
What's me?
So when you mentioned that you started with using your phone at the time, and you called yourself a voiceover artist, in hindsight, you've seen a lot. You've gotten mics. You've done this and that.
Yeah.
And people are, in this present time, still using their phones to do voiceovers.
Okay.
So I want us to talk from a place of someone who has been there. Yeah. So you can empathize with what they're going through and why they're calling themselves a voiceover artist. And then someone who is a professional who understands, what should be the standard. Yeah. Do you think people that use their phone to do voiceovers can call themselves voiceover artists?
Well, this seat is really hot. This seat is really hot.
Yeah,
yes, in a way, right? Yes, they can, because it depends on what you are actually working at. And I mean, I'm also going to balance it because I also feel that it's also not professional to use your phone to actually do voiceovers, especially when you're doing a client job, you're working with a client. So this is what I have to say. When you're using your phone to do voiceovers, try as much as possible not to use your phone to work for a client. No matter, in fact, especially a client who's going to pay you, right? If you're going to get a paid gig, try as much as possible not to use your phone. We have a lot of options. We have a lot of options out there. You understand? If this person actually really wants your voice, they can actually pay for your voice.
Yeah.
So in that money they are going to pay you, you should actually calculate your studio fee, your studio session fee. If you don't know how to edit your voiceovers, definitely there's somebody who is actually good. You can actually locate, a producer, somebody like Tcode now. Locate somebody like Tcode. Go to Tcode studio. Tell Tcode that, see, I got this gig. I don't have studio. I don't have mic. I don't have anything. The only thing I have is the talent and my voice.
Yeah.
You understand? So Tcode now will now tell you how much you will pay him. From that money that they will pay you, you will now give Tcode some. Tcode will record you. He will even direct you for free.
You guys, for every part where he said Tcode, just replace it.
You understand?
Studio engineer or producer.
Tcode. When I say Tcode, just replace Tcode with audio engineer. It can be anybody, So Tcode will now do all the production, do everything for you. Then you can send it to your client and all that. But the situations, the situations where I think you can use your phone is maybe for content purposes.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to put out content out there. Because if you don't have a studio, you still need to put out content out there. Will you keep going to, somebody like Tcode now for any small content you want to do? You go to somewhere like Tcode, So you can as well, because most phone mics, if you're using an iPhone, that's even a better option because most iPhone mics are really very nice. They can capture your voice quite okay. But if you're using an Android, or even if you're still using an iPhone, you can get yourself an external or wireless, lapel microphone, wireless microphone that you can use for content purposes. But I wouldn't advise you use those kind of mics for a professional job, a client job, because the truth is that even if the client is telling you, don't worry, use your phone, just go ahead, use your phone. I like it like that. Do what I'm hearing. In fact, I don't even need so much from you. It's a lie. They don't want to pay you very well. That's why they are telling you to use your phone. That same client is going to hear another voiceover artist that uses the mic and sounds better than you. And trust me, that client that wanted you to use your phone is not going to come back to you because definitely he has heard something better that was recorded with a microphone. So for the sake of your brand, you understand, and if you want clients to be coming back to you, try to do the right thing by using a microphone, proper studio recording microphone. So this was the thing. I mean, I didn't know any better back then. So now that I know better, it's good to save the people who are just coming from, this stress. You understand? So I mean, come on.
Yeah, so you guys heard it.
You're welcome.
It's not professional to use phones to record voiceovers for clients. The best thing you can do if you don't have your recording gear is to find a studio around you and find out how much they charge. And when you have voiceover gigs, you get them to do it. And I mean, you use the facilities and you pay them for whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Anyways, we've spoken about a couple of things. Let's talk about you being a voiceover artist or becoming a voiceover artist. Nobody was born with the tag voiceover artist. We learned about it some way, somehow. We got inspired by someone, or we discovered our abilities and we began to pursue it. For some people, they couldn't pursue it further because they lost hope. Some people didn't have somebody to hold their hands. But we all have different stories, and that's where I want you to talk from. How did you find out about voiceover, and what was your progression like in the industry?
So when I started doing voiceovers, initially, in fact, not too long ago, 2018 is just 6 years ago, right? 6 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yes.
Before 2018, to be honest with you, I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what voiceover was. Like, I didn't even know that voiceover was actually a thing. And I mean, it's an industry. People actually do voiceovers, record, use their voice to make money in this Nigeria. You understand? So when most voiceover artists, how they started was actually with people telling them they have good voices. You understand? But that's really not enough for you to actually say you want to come and be a voiceover artist because you have a good voice. You understand? So I've always had a good voice. People were always telling me that I have a good voice and I have a great recording voice, But it really hit me. It really hit me. I always tell this story anytime I'm talking about how I started doing voiceovers. When I was serving in Gombe State, I went to a friend's studio because I was recording my music. And when I went for my recording session, I met other people in the studio. Actually, they were there to actually record voiceovers. They came with scripts
In Gombe State.
In Gombe State, yes.
Interesting.
So my guy there,
Sorry, were they broadcasters or just normal people doing voiceover?
just normal people, nothing, just normal people. In
That's
fact,
cool.
they were not the people that came. They were not the ones that were going to record, but they just came with the idea that they want to record maybe anybody they find in the studio, just audio and all that. Maybe they had somebody come in or something, but they knew they wanted to record something. So I was there and I was recording my music, and in fact, it started with my friend who was the producer. He was like, Omo, this is your voice. He had not heard me speak for a very long time. So when he heard my voice, he was like, Omo, this is your voice, please, I beg. He was literally begging me to record church announcement for them. He was even willing to pay. I'm like, Omo, forget. I really didn't know the value. I didn't know that this is something that people actually pay for. So he just gave me a script and I recorded. Another person there decided to give me a script. Oh, yeah. Don't worry. There's post-production for a lot of things.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yes. So that was how I recorded one. Somebody who was just a passerby in the studio just came in. I'm like, he heard this voice. I'm like, he wants me to actually please do a recording. He's a DJ. So he wants me to do this signature kind of recording. DJ, JD, or this kind of recording now. So I did it. Another person in that same studio heard me. I was like, that day I recorded up to 4 voiceovers and everybody was very happy. I didn't know what I did until my friend who is actually grounded in the production told me that, man, see, as I'm going back to this Abuja, I should consider a career in voiceovers. Till today, I still remember, that's what he told me, because that was actually what got me thinking a lot about going into voiceovers. So I thought about it. Then I came to Abuja. Then I started doing a lot of learning. I went on YouTube, started learning about how to become a voiceover artist. And this was when we just entered into lockdown. So, I mean, I had a lot of time to learn about voiceovers. And the truth is that I actually love voiceovers. So one thing I have to say to somebody who is just trying to get into voiceover has to be something you genuinely love. It's not something that you go in just for the quick bucks. You just go in just to make money and all that. Because you're going to get tired easily. Voiceover is something that even if you are not paying me, I will still do it. It's something that I will still set up a studio if I have the money. If this is something that I'm not going to get profit from, I will still do it. That's how much I love voiceovers. Maybe I go about looking for other sources of income,
right?
but voiceover is something I love. So you can't tell me to stop doing voiceover. So the money I'm getting from voiceover is just like Jara now, because I'm really doing what I love to do, and I'm getting money from it. So you discover that when you're doing what you love to do, that is what is going to sustain you and give you that durability you need in the industry. And you see, most people who get into voiceovers and they drop out, they just stop because they are not seeing money. If you check it, they really don't love voiceover. Because if you love voiceover, you continue doing it. You continue doing it, whether you're seeing money just yet or not. But if you know that you really want to see money in voiceovers, you have to love it. You have to invest. Your money has to go in. You don't just have to think about it as a hobby anymore. You have to think about it as a business as well. That's why you actually invest, putting your money into voiceovers. And the Nigerian voiceover industry is still growing. It's not smiling. It's not so easy to get gigs in Nigeria. Even when you get gigs, they are not those kind of gigs that will pay you very well, like kind of gigs you see abroad. But I believe there's hope, and the Nigerian industry is getting there. So please. I'm not talking too much. Oh my God.
I'm enjoying it actually. And you just said something, hope. And I'd like you to talk a bit about, not even just hope, but this is to talk to people who are, like you said, you found a passion in voiceover. There are people who I know that have also sort of like found passion doing voiceovers. But it is not as rewarding as they might expect, in the sense that, of course, there's a reward, an intrinsic reward when you just do voiceovers for the sake of doing it. You're enjoying it. But when we start talking about investing, getting a mic, like an okay mic or a good mic. Let's just say good. Let's not say, okay, if we say okay mic, we're talking about maybe 120, 150K. Good mic, you're talking about 300K, 400K, 500. Then very good mic, you're hitting
1
about.
million,
Do you understand?
1.5, Neumann, nice one.
And then we're talking about investing in what you love. Now, so you can just pump money inside. So I want us to talk about the reality of our industry. A lot of people think it's all bread and butter until they get into it, and then they pull out as fast as they come in. So what is your own, or how do you talk to people like that? Some people are getting discouraged on the daily. I get to talk to a lot of people. Let's start from why you think this is a problem, and what do you think they can do to find their way around it?
Well, the fact that we're in Nigeria, in this part of the world, that is number one reason why it's a problem first. Because the economy and the kind of clients we have in Nigeria, they don't help matters a lot. You understand? So it's being in Nigeria itself is one of the problems about being a voiceover artist. That's just it's not, you can't take away that fact. As you're a Nigerian, you're a voiceover artist. That is the problem number one.
Nepa for just stick lights.
It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot to cope. It's quite a lot to cope with when you are a Nigerian voiceover artist. I don't know about other African countries, but I know that being a voiceover artist in Nigeria is not easy at all. It's really not easy. It takes determination. It takes persistence to actually survive in the industry. So what I would tell people who actually want to get into voiceovers in Nigeria is, man, I don't even know what to tell you. That's just the truth. I'm looking at you right now, but the things that I don't know what to tell you. Because what I tell most people is that, see, you have to learn to motivate yourself. You have to learn to motivate yourself because nobody can actually motivate you like the way you motivate yourself. And seriously. And there is definitely going to be a reward for that. Because a lot of times I've actually thought about leaving voiceovers. But that was before I got the revelation about, my love for voiceovers. Because to be honest with you, when I started doing voiceovers, it wasn't really about the love for voiceovers. It was because of the fact that I knew that, oh boy, I could actually make money from it. But I wasn't seeing the money the way I thought it would come. Clients would just destabilize you with how they want you to do your voiceover and price you down. So when I started developing that love for it and, getting to meet people, attending workshops, I learned that it's way beyond that. You really have to encourage yourself, motivate yourself, put yourself out there the more. Seriously, because if you don't put yourself out there, it's not so easy. The truth is, I'm not going to tell you that it's easy, but it's not easy. So, bro, you're watching this podcast now. You're watching this podcast. My sister, my brother, you're watching this podcast. Just know that it is not so easy to be a Nigerian voiceover artist, but you just have to motivate yourself, connect with people, attend workshops, put yourself out there the more, and it's going to be good for you. I don't even know.
You heard it? While I was speaking in my head, I was like, it takes somebody who has really passed through it. Like, you've gone through the lows of voiceovers to know that, it's not easy. We've gone through a lot of things in this our voiceover industry. You go and record like this, rain will just start to default. The sound alone, you could just guys like chill. Or is it clients that will just price you anyhow? Is it not just to record? Or is it the power factor, like electricity just blacks out and you're waiting for the next time to recharge? And if you say you want to go and on-gen noise, or is it just noise from neighbors or a mosque beside your house or cars or stuff?
Yeah.
So it's super challenging.
Do you know recently, a client of my, one old client that I had, a very wealthy man, the man told me, because the man wanted to do, some work with me. And I told him that, see, okay, fuel price increase and all that, everything has already, there's an increment in price and all that. So the guy told me that the fuel price affect my voice. I'll never forget what he said. So today, I think about that a lot. Like, how will you even make such... You're a businessman, for God's sake. You're asking me that the fuel price affect my voice. So fuel price increase my voice. Like, don't I rent a studio space? Don't I use fuel to edit my voiceovers? Don't I have cost of living? Don't I run business? Don't I run ads? Don't I use everything you use for business? So it's quite a lot. The clients in Nigeria also follow for the problem.
It is what it is, right?
In Nigeria.
I want to hear about a story I think you once told. I don't know if you told me directly or you shared it somewhere about how you got started. And when I say got started, how you got your equipment.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite inspiring hearing you talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not something that everybody should go and do. But for someone like you, it was a Lionheart move.
Seriously.
So I want you to talk about it just quickly before I move to the next thing.
You have to have faith in this industry, because sometimes you'll be buying equipment and you don't even know if you make money from it. My brother, my sister. When I got my voiceover equipment, it's not like I already started making good money from it and I felt like, oh yeah, it's time for me to get equipment so that I can start making more money. I've not started seeing money then, but I took a loan. I actually took a loan to get my first set of equipment. I took a loan of 500,000.
Damn!
Like, seriously,
for voiceover equipment.
Like, it was crazy to buy voiceover equipment.
Wow!
From that loan, I got my mic, I got my sound card. Although my sound card, I bought it fairly used. So that means you really don't have to. When it comes to equipment like this, it's not a must that you must go for new things. You understand? You can go for fairly used stuff that you are very sure of that are also good, or if you know people who want to sell, you can get from them. So you can save money like that too. So I got some things fairly used, but most of them I got them new. So I had already done my research. I knew what I wanted to buy, so I just needed the money. So I was supposed to repay that loan in 1 year, that 500k loan. Although I got the loan from a family member, so it wasn't like one of those banking loan app and all those stuff. So I got it from a family member, and it wasn't from Lapo. So I took that bold step, and I got that loan, and I paid back that loan. I made more than 3 times
that money.
Please. Yeah, but I know I made more than that money within that year. I paid back that loan. So you can be like me. You can take
Super
the loan,
proud of you, man. And David is a full-time voiceover artist, in case you're wondering. I'm also a full-time voiceover artist, in case you're wondering. So regardless of all the challenges we've mentioned, how challenging the industry can be, we're still surviving, right? And like he said, it takes a lot of faith, a lot of hope. And there's something that is consistent in all of his stories, how he keeps improving on his skills. He mentioned attending workshops and trainings and stuff like that. He attends conferences, industry events, and you can see the growth is evident. So you should remember that when you want to go and invest, it's not just about getting equipment, but also investing in your skills, investing in knowledge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your training. I don't want to say it's not facility now, but your training arm of Daza Voiceover.
Yes.
You've been training voiceover students for, is it up to a year now? It should be up to a year. Yeah, wow, awesome.
About a year.
Right.
I started training January 2023.
Wow.
Yes, that's when I started.
How's it been?
Yes. And I was able to organize four trainings last year. Yes, that was one of my resolutions last year, to actually organize 4 trainings, divided into the 4 quarters of the year. And that's actually what I did. I was very, very excited. I was able to pull that through and, do it. One of the reasons I did that is because I get a lot of people, wanting to, like, a lot of people DM me, they want to learn about voiceovers. And the truth is that I can't start, and I'm not so good with one-on-one. There are a lot of people who are good with one-on-one coaching. I'm not so good with one-on-one coaching. You understand? And I thought to myself, okay, not be saying I mean no pass.
Yeah.
I really don't know so much when it comes to this, but I know that I know. You understand? But I'm not as,
expansive.
Yeah, like when it comes to teaching, if you observe, I don't know how to teach so much like that. But I have people like you. I have a lot of people who know these things. Yeah. So I thought to myself, these people are trying to get me to, teach them. And I know a lot of people who can do a better job than me in actually teaching these people. Why not create a platform where these people can actually come and learn more? Yeah. You understand? So now, anytime anybody comes to my DM and I'm like, okay, I want to learn about voiceovers, I just say, okay, yeah, we have a training coming up. And everybody who have actually attended our trainings, they've actually been very, very highly impacted by those trainings. And they get to learn a lot. And, some training sometimes is not just about the training itself. It's also about, being in a community. Like, one of the reasons I decided to get to, register with the voiceover workshop to actually train. I was already doing voiceovers for like 2 years before, 2 or 3 years before joining the voiceover workshop, getting that training. One of the major reasons I did that was so that I can get to network with other voiceover artists. I can get to meet people as well. You understand? So that was like 50%, to be honest with you. That was like 50% of my reason for wanting to join that particular training, because I felt like I was alone in the voiceover. Like, it's just me. I need to meet people. That was actually how I got to meet you. If I didn't join that training, I wouldn't have met you.
It wasn't the same set, was it?
No, it wasn't.
No, it
You were a set before mine. Like you guys,
I was in
before
2020.
2020.
and
Then
you
I was in
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's how I got to meet you, and that is how we're actually doing this podcast right now. Because if I
True.
didn't get to know you, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
So being
All right, guys, welcome back. We just took a short break and we're back. The realities of recording in Nigeria, we don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
David was just responding to the question of how, he progressed in the voiceover journey. And you were talking about how you attended the voiceover workshop
Yeah.
and we're just talking about which set we were. So
Yes,
you want to continue
yes.
from there?
Yeah, basically, the bottom line of everything I'm just trying to say is that network with other voiceover artists. One of the things that have kept me going in the voiceover industry in Nigeria is the fact that I know that I'm not in this alone. I have voiceover friends. It's good to have a lot of voiceover friends because these are the people who sometimes when you're feeling low, these are the people who can actually, jack you up.
Sure.
There are some times I called you. Remember, there are sometimes
Yeah.
I actually called you and I told you that, man, guy, I'm feeling really like, is this voiceover thing? Like, it's
Yeah.
getting to 2 months now. I've not gotten any gig. What's
Yeah.
going on? You understand?
Yeah.
Then you just give me some words that will just encourage me. And some people too also call me too, like that when they're feeling down. So we are here to encourage ourselves.
yeah.
So it's not always about, it doesn't always have to be about competition and all that.
Yeah.
Let's also try to encourage ourselves in the industry because we are in this together. So if I win, you win,
Sure.
just like that,
Sure.
So yeah, network.
It feels
Network.
really good, it sounds good. Network, building a community. We don't talk about this enough, how much we need a community in the voiceover. Not necessarily a community, we need communities. There are very few people that they do voiceovers and they're like solo people, like they're on their own. They exist, no
Yes,
doubt.
yes, they do.
But in this Nigeria, not many.
Yeah.
And I hope to reach out to people like that real soon and have them on this podcast. But then we're coming gradually to the end of this episode, and it's been a very interesting conversation with David, even though me and him, we can gist for hours. But for the sake of the podcast, we just have to limit it. There's something I have not mentioned. Guys, if you notice, this is not a regular space we use for our recordings. And that's because we are in the studio of one of the voiceover...
One of the finest voiceover artists. in
Mademoiselles.
Nigeria. Come on.
That's a finger over there.
Come on.
She's been behind the scene all this while, giving us cues and helping
Yeah.
with the production. I'm talking about no other person than Sarah Johnson. Well, yeah, Sarah's been so
Hey, my
instrumental. You remember Sarah from the second episode of the voiceover of this podcast in season 2? Yeah, that's Sarah, and this is a beautiful studio.
She has a very, very beautiful
Very
studio,
cool,
guys.
right?
Seriously, if you're in Abuja as a voiceover artist and maybe you don't have a studio, you're looking for ways to come and record professional.
True
Please,
that.
Sarah Johnson.
True that.
She's the one for
She's
you.
a voiceover artist. She's an audio engineer.
Yeah.
Talk Studios, T-A-K, right? T-O-K, Talk
Talk
Studios.
like TikTok, like the talk in
Yeah.
TikTok. Like
talk, TikTok. Oh, TikTok.
You get the point now.
Okay, Talk Studios. That's the name of our studio.
I don't know where I know you guys from.
Well, this is pretty amazing, and the truth is that you don't get to see all of this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm just remembering how your studio looks a lot like there's this other voiceover artist, Danley in Lagos. Danley.
Another bad guy. He's
Another
watching me
bad
now
guy.
and he's smiling.
Danley was in the podcast in season 2 of the podcast. It was great. I was also in the studio just like this, and we had a great conversation. So, shout out to voiceover artists who go the extra mile to build studio. It no easy.
It no
I
easy.
tell you, in borrow.
Cost intensive.
Even that time when you borrow 500k,
You know rich.
You know
You know
rich.
rich.
Now only equipment you
You know
buy.
only equipment
You know
I buy.
cover studio. So, shout out to you, Sarah Johnson.
Shout out.
I really don't think I remember any question I want to ask you again. But it's really nice having you here. And is there anything we should be expecting from Daza anytime soon?
Yeah, a lot of things coming up. We are working on our new studio space, so
Woo-hoo!
watch out. So very soon I'm going to be we're having a very massive studio upgrade. So very soon. I don't know if I don't know when you're actually going to be posting this, but if you observe, we've not been dropping content for a while, and that's because we've had a lot of things going on, you know. So yeah, so very soon we'll soon come back to our content. So all of you that way down to say I don't free for my hand. Not lie you, I never free. All of you now they pronounce Wednesday as Wednesday. I'm coming for you. I'm not done with you. So don't worry. More content from Daza, yes.
And it just reminds me of how he does content all the time. He's one of the very popular voiceover artists that create content in Nigeria. Okay, we don't have time, but in just a minute, tell us about how content creation has really helped your voiceover career.
It does help.
Like getting featured on Tunde Not's page and stuff like that. In a minute.
Yeah, content creation is the in thing right now. In fact, you just can't afford not to create content, especially as a voiceover artist, because we live in a world of content where everything is content, everything can be content, everything will be content, and everything shall be content. You understand? I get most of my voiceover gigs from social media. Yes, there are a lot of ways to get voiceover gigs, but I get mine mostly from social media. In fact, the last person I worked with, I actually had to, ask how, she got to know me. And she was like, she just went on Instagram. She didn't even know where she was going to. She just went on Instagram and typed voiceover artist.
Wow.
You know when you're looking for something to buy. She just went on Instagram, typed voiceover artist or African voiceover artist. And it was my name that came top of the list.
Wow.
And she just clicked on my profile. She saw my profile. She loved it. She got into my DM. And that's how we worked.
Wow.
We worked and we made some cool thousands.
That's cool.
And I was really, really very, very excited to hear that because, my social media is working for me. And how can you do that for yourself? You have to always show up. You always have to show up. You have to put yourself out there. Carry your market for head. Tell everybody what you they do. It's your account. Nobody go fight you. You create an account. If you like, post 100 times a day. It's your account. Do you understand? Check out other voiceover artists who are already in the social media space and they are doing well. Try and learn from their page and see what they are doing. Try and replicate the same. And you're also going to get results. Even though most of the kind of content I put out there are not the kind of content that tell you that I'm a voiceover artist. But when you see those content, you come to my page and you get to see what I do. You get to see my bio. You understand? And that's how you get to know that this person is a voiceover artist. You understand? So you have to be intentional. Your social media, you have to be intentional with your social media as well. You can't be a voiceover artist and what is on your bio is that you understand? Pet lover. God first. Lover of God. You understand? All those things are good. But immediately I come to your social media profile, I should be able to just tell what you are all about just without even scrolling.
Yeah.
So
I really love that.
important.
And I think to add to what you've said is to be original. I think you're very, very original with your content.
Yes.
Like your pidgin did there. Even though you teach English, you see they give them steady. All right. I think it's been a great conversation. I don't want to hold you for longer than we've spent here. And thank you for honoring this invitation to be on the podcast.
Thank you for having me as well.
Shout out to you. Shout out to Sarah Johnson. Shout out to UC Royal. She's here. Shout out to all of the voiceover institutions that have been behind some of us, our success stories. They've helped us. Starting from Daza Voiceover, shout out to Daza Voiceover, shout out to Voiceover Workshop, Voiceover Academy, and all of your Voiceover Bootcamp, Voice of Steph Academy, and everybody doing stuff out there to help the voiceover industry progress, right? So, guys, you heard it all from David and myself. Keep the faith alive, learn, invest, and put yourself out there. Content is king, like they say. And that's it for this episode. The next episode is definitely going to be another very interesting one. Remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, yes, you can also listen to it on podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, AfriPods, and a couple of them. And if you're also listening via audio listening platforms, you can watch us live right here on YouTube. It's been a pleasure, and I remain Tcode, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast.
And I am David.
David
Daza
Diodogu.
And to those of you who keep pronouncing this word is not pronounced ask, please. The word is pronounced ask. Ask. There's a reason why they spelled it A-S-K.
Not A-K-S.
Not A-K-S. Yes. Ask.
All right, guys. By the way,
Somebody needed to hear that. The person
they need to
watching me right
hear
now.
it. They also need to go and look for more of that on your Instagram. So, what's
Yes.
your Instagram page?
The Psalmist David at the Psalmist David, not THE or like D, letter D, then Psalmist, Psalmist.
All right, at the Psalmist,
The Psalmist
David.
David. Yeah.
And of course, you know me. I'm Tcode. So find me
Code.
on Instagram at Tcode_70.
Very soon you will explain to us why 70. Are you 70 years old? We don't know. They deserve to know why.
70 man.
70 years old. Okay. I mean,
All right, guys, that's it for this episode. See you in the next one, and bye for now.
Bakam.